So the live action remakes of our beloved. Why are you squinting your eyes at me?
Oh no, I'm just
okay.
paying attention.
I was like, which one of us are you yelling at?
I'm just paying attention.
Never you.
The way my heart sank.
No, so we've had
Start
these
again.
live action remakes of Disney classics. So the most recent that we had was Little Mermaid, starring the beautiful and talented Halle Bailey. And with that came a lot of controversy because there's a certain group of people who thought that Ariel should have been a white lady with burning red hair.
The gingers were upset.
The gingers were so upset. They were waiting for that representation, and they just did not get it, even though there's Brave, which is a top Pixar movie that I have seen.
Haven't seen it.
There's also every Carrot Top stand-up special.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. So what's happened recently, and also like a popular thing that people do is they fan cast movies.
What's that?
It's basically like just people on TikTok or people on social media like going like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they remade, like I have literally done this, remade the Scream movies, like rebooted them, and then instead of the actors, this is who I would cast.
Book Talk does that a lot.
Book Talk does it a lot. Yeah, they do it for like Bridgerton and all these other.
Is this a thing?
It's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And so I guess recently people were saying like, what's gonna be the next live action Disney remake? And people were saying Tangled is up there, and the original with Mandy Moore as the voice of this Rapunzel, and Zachary Levi, who it's a little bit problematic, but so people were fan casting Rapunzel in Tangled, and a lot of people were suggesting this actress who was in the Mean Girls musical, and her name is Avantika. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so basically, like, this one TikTok went really, really viral because it was a white girl who was literally weeping, crying at the thought of the potential of a Tangled movie being made with a person who was not a white person.
Yeah.
Wait, so this is not even a real casting? We're talking about a fucking thing that's not been cast
like Disney
in real life.
has not confirmed.
So we are. Let me talk about the layers of this for a
whatsoever.
second. We are talking about a fictional character who does not exist in real life in our universe. Mm-hmm.
And a casting that also does
in a casting that was made up by a TikToker, and people are mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
None of this
That is horrifying.
is real life.
Yep.
And we're also talking about Disney remakes, which are all terrible.
I mean, I like The Little Mermaid.
I will say I watched the live action Jungle Book and I had nightmares because it scared me so much. I'm not kidding. That night had nightmares that I was being chased through the jungle.
They're all bad. They're all like little. I mean, don't
It
get me wrong.
was a little too realistic.
You didn't like Beauty and the Beast?
Something I believe in
I like
is
Beauty and the
like
Beast, yeah.
if we're really gonna believe in equality, we also should believe in like the ability to be mediocre. And Little Mermaid is bad. Like they're all bad, and like it's okay that they're bad.
They're not as good as the originals.
Halle Berry not Halle Berry.
Halle Bailey.
Brandy as Cinderella.
Oh, Brandy is the ultimate Cinderella.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
that's different. That's different. That's great.
That was the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella.
Yeah, that's
Excuse
different.
me.
We're
That's
not talking about
different.
Disney remakes at that point.
Yeah,
All right, okay.
that was the musical version. Brandy, not the best actress, but
So weird.
she nailed those songs. Oh my God, her and Paolo Montalban. Excuse me.
But I think that's fangirling over here.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I mean, yeah, you have this. Again, I think some of the people are talking about, well, Rapunzel's a German story, so it's to still be representative of a German heritage. But, all of these are all very much like made up stories, and, the representation that happens for white people is countless, and the representation that exists for people of color is on like maybe probably one hand at this point. But you saw that during The Little Mermaid, and just how people were up in arms of how could someone black be able to do this. They can't swim. It's misrepresentation. Like, I can't believe this. Like, I see myself as a princess, and all now my identity is going to be ruined, and I can't see myself anymore.
Yeah.
And it's amazing like where that backlash comes in to play in these made up stories. Now, it's one thing if you like casted, I don't know, Brad Pitt as like Malcolm X in an upcoming biopic. Like that's not right. Like you can't do that. That doesn't make sense.
That's a real person.
That's a real person.
Yeah.
Like it was what came to mind. I was trying to draw a parallel.
No, that was a good example.
But like this.
But people have been making those false equivalencies.
But that's also my favorite part is people going like, I was literally gonna say that, like people going like, well, what if Tom Hanks played fucking Martin Luther King Jr.? Make that shit. That would be hilarious. Like, go ahead and make that shit. I want to see you make that shit. I will watch it. And
you know what? Tom Hanks is a great actor.
I think it's also crazy that the times that this comes up the most is with movies that are for children.
Yes.
These kids
and fantasy movies.
Yes. And like you were saying, like whenever Little Mermaid happened, like you would see the reactions of like kids reacting, and that was like a big deal for kids, like specifically black children, obviously. Yeah. But white kids, they're not even noticing that.
Yes.
Like white kids aren't noticing that a character is like, because they're used to that representation. They're not noticing that. And like you guys said, like they're these made up characters. These are not real people. Like these are made up stories. It's a fucking mermaid. That's not even a real thing.
But a mermaid wouldn't be tan because they live in the ocean.
My bad.
But I think it's interesting when you go through that, because I mean I remember a traumatic moment as a kid, because I think it was kindergarten, and we had like a Halloween costume contest at school, and I really liked all the kind of cartoon stuff, big kind of anime person, like shout out to X-Men 97, that's out now, it's great. But I was watching G.I. Joe at the time and really liked G.I. Joe, and I wanted to be like, you go to the Hollywood or the Halloween store and you get the like outfits and stuff, and it had like a G.I. Joe costume, and so you had the army flags and the hat and everything, but G.I. Joe's obviously very muscular, and it came with one of those like muscle inserts, but it was white. So then I'm like, well, like at least had the wherewithal enough to, me as a black child wearing a white chest probably doesn't make sense. So like taking some markers, trying to color it brown, didn't do a good job, and then got made fun of at school, like having a white chest. Like, so like you have these moments where, yes, maybe a white child might not see that or recognize that because there's so many options of what to choose from. But as a black child, as a child of color, you don't necessarily have those mainstream things that you can one-to-one emulate and say, I want to be exactly that. And that is tough. And that's why it's so beautiful when you saw Little Mermaid, how many people, like even the kids, like recognize that. It's like they're not asking for it, but when they see it, it's special.
Yeah.
I remember going to watch like Black Panther in the movie theater for the first time. I was crying because like you don't see superhero movies like that where black people are the main characters and as powerful characters. It is owning, and the community around them are strong. Like that was absolutely beautiful. Like, and you have these moments, and it's just interesting then that you see how much it can impact when you have the one or two options that exist now, and it's taken how long to get to this point. But then even just the hint and the idea of maybe if they were to make a Rapunzel movie, it might be this timely actor who's done a great job in Mean Girls, not even real, Now all of a sudden it's just the biggest travesty in the world. This is impossible. We can't do it. And also, Little Mermaid came out, still did well. People watched it. Didn't flop. Nobody boycotted Disney. Think their stock price is doing just fine. So like, it's just crazy like what people get up in arms about. But I just like it. But it can mean so much when you have those options for people that literally don't get to see themselves.
Right.
Yeah. And then also it's like you wanted to be G.I. Joe and you knew G.I. Joe wasn't black. Like you were able to still see yourself in that character despite the fact that there was not a lot of options of people who look like you in cartoons, in comics, and whatever. And why can't we ask the same of white people?
Yeah.
Like, why is it so hard for them to see themselves in characters of color? We, from birth, have had to, like, when we look at characters on TV, characters in storybooks, etc., like, we never saw people who look like us. We just had to have that imagination to see whatever humanity was in what was reflected back to us in ourselves and kind of relate to that. And so why are people crying? Why are people crying on TikTok? You know, it's like there's been years and years of us having to kind of adapt to this. And also, we're all human. Yeah. Like, I don't know if that goes without saying, but it's like, why can't you relate to like a black character on a swimming around in the ocean? Right. You know, it's like, what difference is there? Yeah. But yeah, it's literally just asking white people to just make a little tiny leap. Yep. A little room for other people every once in a while. Just seeing the humanity in somebody who doesn't look exactly like them. Yeah. In this fantasy movie about a girl whose hair doesn't ever stop growing. Yeah. And can be climbed up like a ladder by a prince, you know, like, come on.
It's crazy.
It's a little bit crazy.
But I think it's interesting too when you think about, you know, what's going on in a state like Florida or Georgia, where you're seeing a lot of the, you know, books by black authors or, you know, black characters or, you know, the LGBTQ like content getting banned, you're saying, because it's too problematic. Kids in elementary school can't make those decisions. But like part of the reason why you have some of these books, or, you know, instead of just reading the blanket Goodnight Moons, like stories that, you know, have imagery that might look like you, or and just having more content available, those are getting banned because they're inappropriate. But now in this case, like, well, I want representation. Well, clearly it's very clear I want representation. Now, I mean the people that are complaining about it. But if a marginalized group wants representation, that's a problem. Oh, hell no. Like, you know, absolutely not. Let's ban it. It's problematic. We're not ready for that. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting to, like, it's interesting that in that same vein, it's like, you're wishing, you're hoping for, you're trying to protect that, whatever that is. Yeah. But then not allowing people to even build theirs, have the moments. And so it's like, it's just weird that, you know, you have it both ways. It's kind of, yeah, I mean, it's hypocrisy. I mean, in its purest definition. But I was a Power Ranger the next year. Then I wore a
what
mask.
Color? Which one?
I was the Black Ranger.
Nice.
Yeah. Who was black? Right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't his color black?
And no, all the colors aligned with the race. It was weird.
The Asian
Ranger kind of
was yellow.
Yeah.
I remember that. Trini.
Not exactly PC, but
yep.
Trini.
The girl was pink.
The girl was
And then I think I was Scream, which was another year, because they had like this like mask.
Oh yeah, my brother was a Scream mask.
Squeeze a heart and like the blood
came
down.
The blood go down. That's cool. That's cool.
At least the Scream costume was universal. Everybody.
That's true.
Everybody could be under that mask.
Never
knew. So I guess we'll see when Rapunzel gets made. Who ends up doing it? Maybe.
I hope they cast her.
This is all made up. Nobody like.
It's not even a movie.
It's not real.
I mean, that's the fucking thing. It's like people dismiss like sci-fi and like Star Trek and all and like Star Wars and all these things, but it's like that's where we get to see the diversity, though.
But what I'm trying to say is, this movie isn't
He's saying
coming,
the casting isn't real.
This isn't coming out.
Not
this
real.
is not a real movie.
No, it's
and
not
people are
real.
freaking out. It's not. It's like when I think about money. We made money up. We literally made money up, and like, it's just a thing that we just accept is happening in the real world. Like, oh yeah, here's money for a thing. Like, we made that up.
Yeah.
This movie is not real.
Yeah, no.
But white people's concerns are real, Tim.
We've established that you feel that way.
Those tears.
The tears are real. It's all real.
Maddie was like, "Where's my representation?"
Where is it? I've never had it my whole life.